The 752nd edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code MMA SGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. And we're brought to you by Edge Boost. Earn up to $750 per month on your sports gambling transactions. Just go to edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. And finally, we're brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Howdy ho, DeGenerinos. Welcome to episode 752 of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Going out to one of our friends on the YouTube, Fred Durst 701, who's given me, well, I think he's been given an episode before. He's going to be given another one because he's given me a new nickname, ladies and gentlemen. From now on, I will be Canadian Pube Face Jeff Fox, the host of your show. Did you see that comment, co-host Gumby? No?
I didn't. No, I didn't. Who's what? Canadian Pube Face?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, you got a nickname too, but you can go read it yourself.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So anyhow, thank you, Fred Durst. I'm just gonna roll them with that insult. We won't talk about how great I did on the UFC this past weekend. We'll talk about that on Wednesday, but I did really good. I'm back, baby. Today's all about Fury FC 101. They sadly changed the card around right before we were about to record, but I guess it's better they do it right before we record than right after we record. So
yes, definitely.
They're still running an event it's a Friday. Maybe that's why they got snake bitten. They're not doing the usual Sundays, but we're going to break down Fury. We always like to cover it. It's a good feeder league, at least for the contender series. It's a good feeder league. 23 fights, and as I always joke, we're going to do them all. Actually, Gumby will have lots to choose from in our lightning round. Let's bring in the man of the hour. We've already heard from him. He is not a Canadian pube face, and he's despite being American and me being Canadian and us being in a big tariff trade war. There are no tariffs on any of our picks. My picks that I give to you Americans, I'm charging no tariffs on it, and vice versa. It's Daniel Gumby Vreeland. Hello.
Yeah, no tariffs on my picks either. I will say I'm a little bit bummed about this card falling apart a little bit, and I'm going to tell you why. Because first of all, I loved the main event where it was before. I like Felipe Efrain. He was a big, brave guy, and saw him coming over to the States for some of the smaller promotions over in the States, which to me meant this is a dude who is looking for his trip to the UFC. And I was like, isn't he a million years old? Because like I remember watching Felipe Efrain like 8 years ago or something like that. He's only 31. So it's total bummer that he's no longer fighting Tanzilovi. That one kind of sucks. And I'll tell you the bigger reason I'm bummed out is that the co-main event was supposed to be Cleveland McLean. I don't know if you know Cleveland McLean. He's kind of a journeyman. He's like 17-12. And he was fighting this 23-year-old Brazilian prospect who was like 9-1 or something like that. Paulo da Silva, because that's how you have to name pretty much every Brazilian. He was going to be like a 4-1 underdog, and I would love Cleveland McLean in that fight. I think he was like too much of a step up. So alas, maybe they'll rebook that and we can get it on Cleveland McLean later. But this is not a Cleveland McLean podcast, sadly.
No, it could be though. Someday, hopefully someday soon. So Tapology still has it listed as a bantamweight championship fight in the main event, but obviously it is not now because the champ is the one that had to pull out of the fight. Sadly, and it's not.
Was that the champ of Fury?
I
don't think so. I think it was an interim.
Oh, okay.
Or a vacant title, or I'm not sure, but I don't think Felipe. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think Felipe Efrain has ever fought for Fury, so I can't imagine.
It may have been a vacant title fight.
I don't think Felipe Efrain's ever fought for Fury.
Yeah, he has actually. Mana Martinez he beat, and Javier Obregon. So, but he wasn't the champ.
Right.
Really.
That fight against Mana Martinez was in Fury. That was a sick fight, by the way.
Yeah. Anyhow, it is not. We're telling you about things that aren't aren't actually happening.
The fights we're missing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just a bantamweight feature fight in the main event. But Fury usually puts on a pretty good show, especially if you like guys just starting out. There's a lot of guys just starting out on this here card, guys and gals starting on this card, and we're going to cover. Well, I guess most people we're covering are veterans, so to speak. They have at least more than one fight. Some of these people are 0-0, so I'm sure Gumby knows about all of those people as well. But
you may or may not get a 0-0 lightning round pick this week.
That's where I was headed. I was going to say you may hear about in the lightning round. All right, let's jump into it. Before though, remind you we're running a free squares pool for the Super Bowl. $1,000 winner take all for the finals. Finals score square. Just go to sportsgamblingpockets.com/squares to sign up today. sportsgamblingpockets.com/squares. I may have butchered the rest of it, but that's all you really need to know is where to go. And that rhymes. All right. Fury FC 101. Torres versus Tanzilovi. Lovi is what we're having. Yes. They've already changed the banner and the poster and the title.
Yeah, and the poster doesn't say title fight, nor does their website. So you're probably right. That's probably just a feature.
Yeah, the website just said bantamweight fight or whatever. So that's what we're going with. February the 7th, which is this Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern. So that's good for you, you degens. It's the earlier in the day event. UFC Fight Pass, of course, is the main card, the prelims on YouTube, and there's quite a few prelims. Gillies in Dallas is where it's taking place. If you want to go catch it. If you're in the Dallas area, 23 fights. So you definitely will be getting your money's worth if you check out that show. All right. We're going to give you some winning picks, whether you watch it at home or watch it at Gillies. No odds yet. This is, you're not going to get early week odds for Fury. That's just not the way these bookies roll, sadly. So, but Gumby will give you his best guesses on things and we can go from there and then you can act accordingly. All right. We're starting with the Rojas. You may know this last name. Kevin Rojas. This gentleman would be. He's fighting Josh Thomas. They're lightweights. They're fighting 3 5-minute rounds. So, of course, Kevin Rojas is one of the... Apparently, there's many Rojas brothers. Raul Rojas is in the UFC. There's Kevin. I think there's like 2 other brothers. Is there not?
I think there's just one more. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's on this card.
Yeah?
You like scan through those 23 fights. I think
I saw Rojas. I saw Rojas with a J. I didn't see a row, maybe.
Rosas? No, there's
there's
another Rosas. Unless his fight was one of the ones canceled. I don't know. But at least one Rosas brother is in this one.
And I think he's an older brother because how can anyone be younger than Raul Rosas?
Yeah, I think he's 23, which would make him
older. Yes. Old guy. All right, let's tell you more about Mr. Rojas. Rojas the senior. He's 3-1. 1 knockout, 2 submissions. Never been finished in a fight. So he's got a pretty decent record there. 2-0 in Fury. He's won 3 straight. So he dropped his debut and hasn't looked back. Used to fight at actually, this is 155. He used to fight at 145. I assume I should have typed there. Thomas, Omega level, whatever that means. That's what level he's on. He's on the Omega level. 2-1 with 1 knockout, 1-1 in Fury. He's taking this fight on short notice. We just found out about it, like I said, just before we recorded on Sunday. So he got submitted in his last fight. Used to fight at 145 as well, 2 inches taller than Rosas, and that's all I got for you people.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess Rosas will be a big favorite here, most likely because of the short notice thing, and also just having the name Rosas and sort of the fame that comes along with talking about these brothers at this point in time. And he fights like a Rosas, like you've seen his little brother fight, you can see his other brother fight, and you can see him fight, and it's they come with a particular style, and it's like a high octane grappling style. Clearly, all gas, looking for the submission all the time. And each of them have different levels of hands that are sort of coming around. As we've kind of noted with Raul, like at times they've looked good, but at other times, it's pretty clear that he needs some work. And, no different here with Kevin is that like he puts combinations together pretty well. I don't think he's, a really high level boxer yet, but I do think he's pretty good. And then on the Josh Thomas side, like I think at first when I was watching the film on him, I was like, hey, look, he looks like he can grapple a little bit. Maybe he'll stuff Rosas and make him box with him a bunch. He's like crouched over when he's striking, though, to the point where you're like, oh God, all he needs is a takedown and all he cares about is a takedown, which is actually kind of an interesting style matchup here. Because the guy he was going to fight before had no takedown ability whatsoever. So like, to see a guy who wants to take it to the ground is kind of interesting against Rosas. But then I will say this, is that like in that fight where I watched, he was just leaning forward and shooting takedowns. He had his back taken in every single round and was finished in the third. And so like that just tells you that like, while he wants to wrestle, he doesn't quite know what the jiu-jitsu side of it takes at this level yet. And against somebody like Kevin Rosas, I think that's just going to be too much. So give me Kevin Rosas here. Might be something I could squeeze in a parlay if it does eke down into the 2s, up in the 3s. I do think he's going to win, but at a guy is 3-1 with kind of spotty striking at this point in his career, I'm not sure I'm going anywhere near that.
Yeah, these are far from finished products. We are betting on and watching here. So
there's a finished product later.
There are a few. And there's some people who are on the way back down already, actually, from being a finished product. So, all right, we are moving on to Torres Freeman. Once I tapology it properly here, where is Torres and Freeman? Is that fight still happening? It better be.
That's the 4th from the top.
Sorry, there's 23 fights to scroll through here, so it's going to take a while. Here we go. This one is the featherweight fight. Cody Freeman, Shane Torres. Everyone's from the States, unless you hear otherwise from me at this point. Torres is 6-5, 1 knockout, 1 submission. He's been knocked out 3 times, submitted once. 2-4 in Fury. He's 1-2 over his last 3, 2-4 over his last 6. He did win his last fight, though. Hooray. He's fight down at bantamweight, 3-1 in pro grappling. Freeman, Bison. He's a Bison. 7-6, 1 knockout, 4 submissions. He's been knocked out once, submitted once. 0-3 in Fury. He's lost 3 straight and only won 2 of his last 6. Got TKO'd in his last fight. Is not won a fight since May of 2021. He's got multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Hey, I'm wearing the shirt. Get this shirt. Not the one I wear. I would sell you this one for a premium, but sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Big game is your code without the I said at the starting of it. That'll get you 15% discount. You fight down at bantamweight. I said again. 3 years younger than Torres, 2 inches taller.
I think this one's probably going to be a pick'em. Like neither of their records look all that good. So as a result, like I do think this one will probably come in pretty close to a pick'em. You mentioned Freeman's on a little bit of a losing. He's fought really people though. One of those is Carlos Vera, who wound up in the UFC. Another one was Peter Caballero. Caballero is a guy who has been in like main events and high level fights. The Moses Diaz fight looks a little bit worse. Like Moses Diaz, maybe nothing to write home about, but like he's fought a higher level of competition than maybe what you would expect from a lot of people with a 7-6 record. And he was a hyper prospect once upon a time. I used to, for a different job, I used to have to like clip images of regional level fights and put them up on a company's Instagram. And he was the champ of that organization, one of the organizations I used to have to do it for, AKA. And everybody talked about Cody Freeman like he was going to the show, like it was like the guy. And obviously it didn't work out for him, but he does have like sort of a really high level wrestling style that like, I think plays really well against some people. Obviously, it doesn't play well against Carlos Vera, who showed in the UFC. He's got insane grappling and really good ground game. And so, like, Freeman sort of petered out against that kind of fighter. And that sort of makes sense. He's also got, like, one super flaw on the feet is that, like, when he does get rushed, his hands sort of, like, just try to, like, push his opponent away rather than covering, rather than shelling. It's almost like he tries to create space by like shoving his opponent away. And in his last fight, that's 100% what got him knocked out. His hands went away from his face. A hook came around the hands and knocked him out. So like he sort of hit his ceiling like this. But with that being said, I think Torres is a guy who wants to fight a similar type of fight as him. And, we were just talking about that with Rosas. It's like having a guy who wants to grapple you certainly helps. I don't think Torres is like all that polished on the feet himself. So I'm not really worried about him blitzing Freeman. And even when he has looked all right on the feet in like some of his past fights, it was never by being like this like forward energy kind of guy, which is what Freeman sort of fears and needs to stay away from. And so for me, I think Torres will probably try to bring a wrestling game or try to be the guy to wrestle first. And he's not as good of a wrestler as Freeman. So I'm going to go with Freeman here. I think he's probably going to come in pretty close to a pick'em. Would love to see that eke into a dog. A 7-6 record sometimes is enough to convince people to put you into dog money. And I'm hoping it does here with Freeman.
Our people like to ask, we don't advertise books that don't pay us, but Is Fury easy? Do a lot of books have it, or is it offshore type of thing?
It's usually mostly offshores.
Yeah,
Again, like it'll show up on some of the big onshore books when there is an off week for the UFC. But being this week, we've got that double title fight headliner down in Australia pay-per-view. The big books aren't hurting to post something like Fury. So you'll find it on the offshores this week, most likely.
I think those are the weeks they should be doing it, because people are in your book betting on, like, casual people you think will be betting on the pay-per-view. So maybe they'll see, hey, what's this? I'll bet on this.
Yeah, but I think they try to prey on people when they're desperate for something. You remember when we were in the pandemic and everybody
of course.
Back we were in Slack back then instead of Discord, and everybody in the Slack was betting on Ukrainian ping pong and stuff like that.
Yeah, female Russian volleyball on Christmas Eve. I remember that was happening too.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
All right, before we move on, speaking of sports books, DraftKings. This ain't the little itty bitty teeny tiny bowl. This is Super Bowl LIX. Get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 59. There you go. They told you what LIX means. Scoring touchdowns is key to hoisting the Vince Lombardi Trophy, and you have a shot to score big by betting on them at DraftKings Sportsbook, the number one place to bet touchdowns. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SGP. That's code SGP for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gumby, do you have some fine print to tell the people?
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Thank you. I think that's what Mikey the dog was saying in the background anyhow, right? He was just reading that.
I think that might have been Blue.
Blue, really? The new guy? They taught the new guy how to be bad?
The new guy was, because it was too deep to be Mikey, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah. they corrupted the new guy. All right. Gummy's got so many dogs in real life. It's I can't even distinguish the.
You think I'd pick a lot of underdogs.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, before we give you more, maybe underdogs, we'll see. He gave you a pick 'em at the very least. Rhythm, SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the number one AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds. Build your model, copy one of the top-performing models from the leaderboard, or have Rhythm build you a model. Enough of picks, NFL props, college basketball, and NBA. Rhythm has it all. Al Horford props, damn right they have it. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. At sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. That's the key. The spelling. RITHMM. All right. Let's move along to a name that you guys will be familiar with. The next couple of fights, if you're just a UFC adjacent type
all
viewer.
3 of the next 3.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. If you're UFC adjacent. Well, why are you watching this show? First of all, thank you for the support. But if you're just UFC, then yeah, you probably haven't made it this far in the podcast. Maybe you have. Hopefully you have. You wouldn't be hearing this if you haven't, though. Let's get into the fight. 155. Austin Lingo. That's a name you'll know. Pena Allamov. That's a name Gumby knows for sure. I don't know how many other people know it. 500 rounds, 155. Allamov is 5-3 with 1 knockout. He's never been finished. He owes us some finishes, this man. All those fights have taken place in Fury. So if you're a Fury head, you will know this man. Lost over his last 3. Used to fight at 145. 3 years younger than Lingo, 2 inches taller. Lingo, lights out. Lingo, 9-4, 3 knockouts, 2 submissions. He's been knocked out once, submitted once, 0-1 in Fury. He's lost 3 straight before that. 0-3 and 2-4 is a breakdown. Got TKO'd in his last fight. Has not won since August 2021. 2-3 in the UFC. 6-0 in LFA, though. He should have just stuck there. Used to fight at 145. That's all I got.
Yeah, so you should definitely know Pena Allamov if you are a fan of this show, because he, in that last fight where you mentioned he lost, by the way, you said he owes us rounds. He doesn't owe us anything. Finishes. He doesn't owe us anything ever, because he was the one who lost to Jake Heffernan when we had Heffernan at plus 850. So like our biggest hit of last year, except for maybe Zafar Motion in PFL. I can't remember if that one was bigger than Heffernan or not, but Heffernan was almost 4 digits and he beat Pena Allamov for us in a retirement fight. So Allamov doesn't owe us anything. He dropped a fight we very much needed him to drop. And I think he drops this one to Lingo too. I expect Lingo maybe not to be as big of a favorite. Like there's things going against him here, right? He's on a 3-fight losing streak. He did lose that last one to Cam Teague too, which, you know, I know Teague wound up going on to the Contender Series afterwards, but I think he kind of only went on the Contender Series because he beat Austin Lingo. And so, like, I don't know that that's a great thing. But with that being said, it was like a big knockout power, and he seemed to like run out of gas and like didn't seem properly motivated for a regional level fight. Hopefully that's changed for this one. And I think this is the right kind of opponent for him too, because Pena Allamov, look, he can wrestle a little bit. We saw in the beginning of the Heffernan fight, but it doesn't look like he can for long enough without getting tired. His striking is like, it's all about having hands low, but he's not particularly fast. And as a result, like he gets hit a lot in moments like that. Like
that's
he
a bad combo.
Yeah. Like, maybe it helps his own power.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like it does not help his defense. It gets him like absolutely pieced up pretty often. Even Heffernan was hitting him, and Heffernan is like a wrestle first, wrestle only kind of guy. And so like I think Lingo should have a pretty easy time peppering him on the feet. But as I mentioned, the 3 losses for Lingo paired together with just being knocked out, released from the UFC, and up against the guy with an OV at the end of his name, I'm hoping to get him at negative 200 here. And I think he'd be a pretty good value if he was.
All right. Yeah, Lingo better be motivated because you got to think this is the end of your career here. If
I know I do have to say, I know he had some pretty serious personal stuff go on in his life heading into this fight, sadly. So like, I won't, we're not going to handicap that on a podcast because that's like not so great, but you can find out on his Instagram. It's pretty sad stuff, and hopefully it's motivation, not like demotivation.
Yeah, well that's not good to hear. All right, let's get to our co-main event. Malik Lewis, there's a name you'll probably know, versus, since those are our most viewed and or listened to episodes, Contender Series. Pablo Burgos. Burgos is not from the United States. Finally. I have another country and a different flag. Actually, main event too is like that. He is from Chile. Yet his nickname El Mexicano is his heritage Mexican. Is his bloodline Mexican?
I don't know.
Interesting.
Could it be mild racism? Who knows?
Oh yeah, it's true.
Who can tell?
You never know. It's true. All right. Let's tell you about Burgos first. He's not a Shane Burgos, right?
No, he's not related. No, but Shane Burgos' little brother does fight. I believe his name's Ryan. He's an Emmy right now. He's pretty damn good.
Cool. All right, El Mexicano is 6-3, 1 knockout, 2 submissions. He's been submitted twice. This is his Fury FC debut. Lost win over his last 4. However, he hasn't lost a fight since December 2023. That means he's been inactive, basically. Used to fight at 135 and 145. 2015 pro MMA debut, a year younger than Lewis. Hard knock Lewis. He did have a hard knock life on the Contender Series. 7-3, 5 knockouts, 2 submissions. He's been knocked out once, submitted once. He owes his rounds. This man does all his stuff. 1-0 LFA. Loss over his last 5. He got submitted in his last fight. 0-2 on Contender Series. Who were the bullies that beat him, Gubby? Do you remember?
Trevor Peak, and I want to say James Yantab.
You're right. Ding, 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 ding. Gumby's always right. Pretty much always right. Where are we? Regional champion for Mr. Lewis. Used to fight at 170, so we have a 135, former 135 versus former 170. 6 inches taller than Burgos. There you go. That plays right into that, and that's all I got.
Yeah, so I imagine Lewis with the Contender Series background is going to be a favorite here. He is coming off that very weird submission loss in his last one where he got, was it a Kimura or an Americana from the bottom that he got stuck in, which is not very often do you see those in those elbow manipulation moves in MMA. But he's coming off a loss, and that was only a few weeks ago. I'm sure this is kind of like they needed somebody in a co-main event spot, and he was like, hell yeah, I need a get right fight. Yeah, I don't know how good that is.
No. It's like chasing lost gambling money. Never a good idea.
Yeah, and like I think he's gonna be like a -175, -185 favorite. And like, I just caution you to be like real careful with your money on somebody who's in the, like a please get me another win type fight. Remember, that's what Michael Bisping did when Calvin Gastelum flatlined him, remember? And it's just like not a good idea. But that being said, I think he has the right skill set to win this fight. Pablo Burgos is, as you mentioned, much shorter, used to fight a couple of weight classes down. And he's like a bulldog, man. He comes in swinging hooks. He comes in trying to plow takedowns and just be like an absolute bully, high energy. However, that's high energy for a short period of time. It does not stick around long. And like the thing about Malik Lewis is I know when you look at him, you're like, you don't think wrestler first because he's like this tall, lanky guy.
Yeah.
But like he was out wrestling the hell out of Trevor Peek in that fight. And I mean, he tired out on his own, but he seems to fix most of that problem where he tires out. He's got good knees in the clinch. He's going to have a massive boxing advantage. And the fact that Burgos mostly throws hooks, that means he doesn't even make good use of the range that he does have even in that. So I think we're going to see Malik Lewis pick and prod him from the outside. We're probably going to see Burgos try to like bull rush some takedowns. I think Lewis either stuffs all of them, which is totally possible, or stuffs enough of them and gets up on the couple of other ones so that Burgos is tired in rounds 2 and 3. He takes over there and gets a late finish. So give me Malik Lewis. Again, cautious because this is a get right fight.
Yep. And you think around -170, I believe you said?
Yeah, I said like -1, anywhere between -1 south of -200, I would imagine.
Okay, cool. What range would you play him up to? Or are you not playing him in real life?
I think I would rather he be south of -150 before I just personally, in terms of the way that I see risk, like you see a guy lose 3 weeks ago. It might not have even been 3 weeks ago. It might have been 2 weeks ago.
It was January 25th, I think.
Yeah, so 2 weeks, less, 2 weeks from this fight. I remember we were breaking him down and I had him in that fight too when he got caught. So like it's been 2 weeks and yeah, like he didn't take much damage because I really do think he was winning that fight until he got caught in the Kimura. But like, is that why? Do you want him right back in there after that? Even if he was winning, I worry about that mental space. So yeah, I'm picking him, but I want him closer to a pick 'em.
All right, that's hopefully Gumby gets what he wants. All right, before we move on to the main event and lightning round, plenty to choose from for lightning round. Edge Boost SGPN has partnered up with Edge Boost, the premier Visa debit card for bettors. An Edge Boost card allows you to avoid the hassle of having your card denied at the sportsbook, DFS site, sweepstake site, racetrack, or casino. Plus, you can earn up to $750 per month in cashback rewards for using your Edge Boost card. And you know your money is safe as the card is FDIC insured. The best part is no credit checks and it's completely free. Sign up today and use the promo code SGPN so you get better cashback rewards and instant tier 2 status. That's edgeboost.bet. Promo code SGPN. That's edgeboost.bet. Promo code SGPN. And the big game is coming this Saturday, and Underdog has you covered. New customers get a Travis Kelce free pick if they sign up before the game. Plus, Underdog's site-wide no sweat entry token is live now. You can cash in on your Underdog entry or get bonus credit in return. You had an entry for the big game, Gumby? They're putting you on the spot. They want a big game pick. You have a big game pick?
Game pick. I mean, like, I guess the easiest thing to go here with the higher than on Saquon. Maybe I'm being a little chalky here, but the Eagles are going to feed Saquon. They're going to feed him all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. So you might as well take the higher than on his rushing yards. He'll probably put up a ridiculous number.
And it's a Sunday. The game's being played on, so he's going to be fed twice, according to Gumby. So there you go. Sign up with their code MMASGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Underdog at fantasy.com, promo code MMASGPN, otherwise known as SIGPIN. All right,
you didn't even let me hit Al Horford stuff. I was trying to get some Al Horford.
Yeah, I know.
I was just trying to get Al Horford in there, and now I need to talk about football instead of Al Horford.
I know. It's not me though. It's the powers that be. The people that help keep the lights on. So you do what you got to do, right?
They don't like Al Horford. That's
capitalism, I tell you.
Make sure to tell the bosses that you like Al Horford more than pro football.
Yeah, next time you go up to our bosses to compliment our show, make sure you mention Al Horford, and they'll have no idea what you're talking about. All right, our bantamweight feature fight: Guillermo Torres from Mexico Otari Tanzilovi from Georgia, the country, not the state. 3 5 rounds, 135. Let's break her down. Tanzilovi, 9-1 with 7 knockouts. Never been finished in a fight. This is his debut in Fury. He lost his last fight. That was on the Contender Series. Gumby, who'd you lose to?
It was a Josias Musaisis.
Excuse me?
I know it was one of the two like super powerful African guys. It was Josias Mosias. It was either that or a Tibagoth, but I think he's the welterweight one that came up.
Josias Musasa. It's easier.
Yeah,
you made it harder. All right. That's Tanzilovi. So he's coming off that loss. He's not won since January 2023. It was regional champion, 12 years younger than Torres, 5 inches taller. Torres Memo is a nickname, 7-1 with 4 knockouts. He's been knocked out once. Short notice debut in Fury. He's another guy we just heard about earlier on Sunday. He's won 2 straight though, both via TKO. He's not fought though. There's another low since October 2023, and he's not lost since September 2022. 0-2 in the Ultimate Fighter, so he has technically fought, just not in official fights, and he lost in both those fights. He used to fight at 145. So you know lots about Torres for sure.
I do, yeah. He was on the most recent season, and he was the guy they invited back onto the show when somebody in the semifinals went down hurt. He took a 12-hour notice fight in a 3-rounder against the eventual champion and his teammate. Myron Santos. And it was a hell of a fight too. I mean, like, he hung in there because the semifinal fights are 3 rounds. He hung in there for 15 minutes. He got a little bit of cage pressure time against a very young, very athletic fighter in Santos. And Torres is not young. He's 38, right? Which is a guy, you don't see that sent into the Ultimate Fighter house all that often, but he is also an Olympian.
I missed that. He's an Olympian.
He went to the Olympics for wrestling in 2012. Which is why he kind of has a short record for as old as he is.
Yeah.
It's because he made the Olympics in 2012. He went out in the first round of the wrestling, but he was in the Olympics for Mexico. And I think he's gonna be a big underdog here. He's coming in on short notice. The record didn't look great on the Ultimate Fighter. The Ultimate Fighter was also at featherweight, worth noting. He coming down a weight class now, and he hung with those guys, particularly in the wrestling. And Tanzilovi, one of the things it looked like he struggled with in that fight on the Contender Series is power and strength. And if you watch any of Guillermo Torres' fights, that is something he has in spades. He is incredibly fit and incredibly strong for not just a man of his age, for a man, period. I think Tanzilovi's biggest issue is that his striking is a little bit wide and not super straight. I think Torres could take advantage of that. And then the other thing I think of Tanzilovi, he's a Georgian guy, so you can expect some wrestling. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, every single time I've seen him take somebody with good takedown defense or good get up ability, they don't stay down. It seems like he has issues covering his opponents and keeping his base low. It looks like a lot of his pressure in the grappling comes from his shoulders rather than from his hips. And that screams to me like you're not going to keep an Olympic wrestler down. Yeah. So if I think Torres is a touch faster on the feet and a touch more straight to the target, I think his gas tank might be better. And I think, his wrestling, if it isn't in a straight up advantage, it will at least be something that allows him to get up whenever he wants. I'm going to take Torres here. I bet you he comes in at plus 250, but that is a play in the main event I like here. I will also go on record saying I liked Felipe Efrain massively in a main event against Tanzilovi as well. A little bit bummed it's not him because I think we would have gotten dog money on him too.
Sad, but that's okay. Hopefully we get a good payout here for Torres. All right, this recap and give you your lightning round picks. Torres, Lewis, Lingo, Freeman. Hopefully he has a pick 'em at the very least. And Rosas. Lightning round, Zap, Bang, Boom, Pow. Lots to choose from, Gumby.
Yeah, I've only got 2 for you here. I went up and down the card. Things have changed. And there were only 2 names that stuck out to me that I really liked. Anna Crutchfield is one of that I think is probably, unfortunately, going to be a massive favorite. But I think, this is somebody who, if she comes in the 400 range or 500 range, you could sneak her into a parlay and extract some extra value. She's an incredible prospect. She's 3-1 Her only loss in her pro career was her pro debut, and it was against Cheyenne Bowers. And we know how good Cheyenne Bowers is. You know, I've been singing her praises and think she belongs in the UFC. So I think Crutchfield is a really nice, well-rounded prospect. She actually fought Carly Judici in Amies too. So she's fought like high-level competition for somebody who's only 3-1. So like I think she's really impressive. I think she's gonna probably make a nice little run here in the regionals as well. And then another name I'm circling is Mila Hill. Mila Hill, you might see 0-0 and be like, why would I bet somebody 0-0? Mila Hill is an insanely athletic Muay Thai style fighter. She's not as tall as you might think she'd be when you find out that her dad is the famous Grant Hill. Which, first of all, when did we start to think that we would see like second generation basketball players show up in MMA? Like that wasn't the timeline I expected, but like I saw her like leave one of her fights and then like take a picture with him, and I was like, wait a sec. Yeah, but like she is an incredible prospect. She went 3-0 as an Ami. Like I said, the Muay Thai is for sure there, and obviously she's like rounding out the rest of her game. And if I'm not mistaken, I think she's training with Fortis MMA. Which like fun little basketball connection, right? Because it's owned by Deron Williams. Who,
right, that's right.
People forget that he owns, or at least co-owns Fortis MMA, and now Grant Hill's daughter's there too. So weird basketball connection. But regardless, yeah, Mila Hill and a Crutchfield. Those are my two lightning round plays for Friday.
There you go. It was all female lightning round for y'all people. All right, you are all set for Fury. We'll be in the Discord chatting it up, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. In our comments, of course, on YouTube. If you want to give me a new nickname, feel free. I will run with it if I enjoy it. MMA Gambling Podcast. You can always hit us up on Twitter, SGPN MMA. He's at Gumby Vreeland. I'm at Jeff Fox Writer there and on Instagram. Check out my Substack. Get in my UFC Pick'em contest for this coming weekend's pay-per-view. And check out all of my writing at moneymma.substack.com. Check out Gummy's Top Turtle MMA podcast. You don't have to check me out on it, which is one positive. Who's on it this week? Another positive. Do you know yet?
I got some fighters on there. Yeah, we're gonna be talking to Cody Steele, who's making his UFC debut down in Australia this weekend. And then, funny enough, we're talking to an Australian who is fighting in America this weekend. Jamie Edenden, who is fighting on Invicta up in Atlanta, Georgia. Coming all the way from Australia. Really weird that the Australian week, the Australian coming to the States. But yeah, Jamie Edenden and Cody Steele.
You'll be hearing more about Jamie Edenden, on our next episode, because we are covering Invicta next, and then we're covering LFA after that. So that's our schedule. Don't ask for anything else. You're not getting it. And then UFC, obviously, Wednesday, Thursday. You can get all of our stuff, all of our writings, all of our podcasts, our giveaways, the Squares contest, all that good stuff is at sportsgamblingpodcast.com. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Big Game is your code to get 15% off your gear. Check out the cool new SGPN Degen hats they have there. They're very nice. And of course, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon to get some bonus content. And remember your codes for, I guess it's just Underdog at this point, right? Yeah. Underdog is MMA SGPN. All right. We'll be back, as I said, tomorrow. Hard Knock Jack Fox, El Americano, Gumby Vreeland, and we shall talk to you tomorrow.